the track, and then you can just see it settling in all through the pack. Now it's going to be the racing in the mid-pack. I think that was actually Nathan Allen that didn't get quite a good run, and Riley Jones, it might have been, that's looking to fight him, and now they'll settle themselves in, all single-filed out. Look at that high entry into turn number 3. They're trying to look after their tires. That's what that does as well. They're not forcing the cars to do anything, and Harris is going to have a go here. Sends it deep, deep on the brakes, and it's actually going to be Brian that lets him have it. So it's going to be Daniel Harris that leads us back to lap number 2 and down the back stretch for the second time. This is Paul Brian maybe saving a little bit of fuel, trying to extend the life of these tires a lot further. Yellow flags out for the first time tonight. Car at the tail end of the field is
at least it looks like Jeremy Bush and might have pushed Callum Hodgkinson off the road as well. Quick action replay thanks to DSL Welding Services.
Oh! I don't think they knew there were 3 wide there.
No, that has caused quite a decent crash. So did they make it through that first lap?
They did. They survived the first lap. That's lap number 2 coming down into turn number 1 for lap number 2. So
well done, guys. That's a great improvement over the first season, first round.
That's who's inside. I'm actually curious. So we're 3 wide in the middle of the pack trying to sort themselves out coming through there. Takers on pit lane. No one's actually come down for a splash top up of the fuel. If I'm at the tail end of the field here, I'm going a splash of fuel. So.
Oh, would you pull in now and get a bit of a splash and dash while you've got the time?
I mean, there's no reason not to. You're already at the back end of the pack, so that's already where it is. So it's actually Miles Burgess that was actually on the inside of Jeremy Bush, and he actually wasn't there. He was sort of had his nose there. He got a lot of damage from lap number 1, so a lot of things have happened to Miles Burgess. Things haven't gone his way.
No, definitely not. There was we saw about 4 or 5 guys get caught up in that little incident, which, you know, if it was further to the front of the pack, we probably could have had a complete and utter field wipeout with an incident like that. Bounce off the wall and straight back into the field, so tricky racing.
It's actually really tricky to get these cars. So I went back and had a look at where the damage from Miles Burgess actually came from. It's not actually from the incident with Jeremy Bush. It's actually from the initial jump. So these cars, the trucks are very, very difficult to get rolling. Don't have a lot of traction initially. They can kick sideways. That looks like that's the case for Jeremy Bush. That's actually where the damage from Miles Burgess came from. He just sort of got a really, really good launch and wasn't really sure. He's actually ended up making contact with the rear bumper of Glenn McLeod. McLeod was having a great run. McLeod actually got loose actually off of turn 4 as well, so it's checked up Jeremy Bush, and that's what enabled the overlap, because it looked like it was a really weird incident, sort of actually a multi-layered incident. This is something Racing Tosco should have a look at.
Oh. Worth going back and have a quick look live on stream then?
May as well. We've got a caution. That's the benefit.
We do have a caution. We do have a caution. So we can probably
have a look at the run here.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, have a look at Glenn McLeod is that blue car up ahead with the 84 on the side of it. Very loose, car's a little bit sideways coming up into turn 4. Jeremy Bush is trying to look after himself. Remember what I said, keep yourself alive into that late race. So he just checks up a little bit. Burgess gets underneath him. I don't think Bush expected him to be there, and that's just what it is.
That is oval racing for you, isn't it?
I mean, they were 3 wide there. It's quite tricky, and I mean, I don't think Burgess knew that he was 3 wide as well, because he's only got the nose in there. The iRacing spotter and the way that all that works is it only sort of calls it when you specifically are 2 to 3 wide with somebody else. So if your nose is only alongside one other car, and that car's got a car to the outside of his nose, he knows that he's 3 wide, he knows that he's got a car underneath his rear bumper and a car on the outside of his front bumper, but nobody else will know that they're 3 wide.
Oh, I did try and do a bit of oval racing again.
Oh, here we go. This should be good.
Yeah, no, it wasn't good. I used to do quite well in the Dragonrc Cup, and then for some reason, I don't know, I think it was my setup. Every time I turned a little bit left, my whole car would just want to leave the track. Yeah, I kept blaming cold tires too. So.
The Indy cars actually suffer from cold tires quite a lot. Stock cars is not necessarily cold tires they really suffer from. It's more the rear will rotate on cold tires, whereas Indy cars tend to push or the really aero tight.
are back and the restart is underway. We are lap 7 of 100 after a small incident at the start of lap 2. We're going to try and keep on board with as many of these cars as possible so we can see everything that's happening across the grid. Try and keep an eye on all the action tonight.
We got cameras everywhere. We got them in the sky, man. That one's hanging off the bottom of the wind for sure.
Oh, this is my favourite chopper team.
That's the fastest drone in existence. Fastest lap of the race, Daniel Harris is actually just on a 29.471. So remember what I said at the very beginning? You know, you want to look after these guys, you want to conserve them. Harris isn't. He's just going for it. He's a long way off the track.
He's trying to make up for that quitting out on us last week, right?
He must have heard the comments when he said it, things he said about him. But, you know, that's going to play on his mindset tonight. How does he set himself up? How does he approach the racing? I said to him, look, man, he come in and he asked me for a couple tips prior to the race tonight. And I said, look, it's all about tyre conservation. There's a slow car actually at the back end of the pack. I noticed somebody going backwards.
Good evening, Sim Racing World, and welcome to tonight's broadcast of the DSL Welding NASCAR trucks for round 4 of the SRW American Invasion. Tonight our drivers have made the long 29-hour drive from Phoenix Raceway to Michigan International Speedway. I am Nathan Shibby Howard, and joining me as always is our encyclopedia of everything oval racing, Scotty Rankin. So, Scott, I hear we could be on the lookout for some great pack racing tonight.
Great pack racing. I think that's an understatement. When you come to Michigan, this is the first of our real cookie-cutter tracks. You're going to see packs. You're going to see them backed up. You're going to see cars door-to-door. You're going to see racing. You're going to see that timing tower, swap left, right, center, up, down, 5 position jumped in, you know, the space of a straight. That's going to happen quite regularly right throughout the night. It's all about draft packs here tonight. It's all about drag. It's all about tire conservation. Man, we've had some amazing races so far. Well, you said they've covered 29 hours. The drivers jumped on a plane. They jumped on a plane probably what? Monday night last week? They jumped on a plane after the race. They flew out to the next race here in Michigan. The guys with the haulers, I think they drove 29 hours.
Yeah, the poor guys in the trucks doing all the hard work while the guys in the cars with the flashy numbers get all the limelight. We see how it is. It's always the back of the working class man, isn't it?
That's it, man. That's it. It's the guys, the downtrodden. They love it, though. If you ever talk to a guy that's in charge of hauling cars across country, particularly in a NASCAR side of things, these guys actually race. I think it's 34, 36, 38 rounds a year. Actually, I think it's more than that these days. I think it's like 40 rounds a year that they're actually 40 weekends a year that they're actually out and driving and racing when you take testing into account as well. So. I mean, they love it. They wouldn't be away from their families for just about all of the year if they didn't enjoy it and enjoy what they're doing. And, you know, there's weeks where they're packing things up on the eastern side of the United States of America, and they're trekking, you know, into the middle of the right little heart. You know, Michigan's no exception for that. They love racing here. They love their pack racing. They love their cookie cutter style ovals, and this is the sister track to probably what is my winningest track on iRacing at Auto Clubs. So I'm very passionate about this particular style of oval. Braden Martin, Locked On Lads, was talking to them earlier tonight. We'll actually be talking to them throughout the stream here tonight. They've given us permission to grab their drivers whenever there's a caution flag out. So we'll be talking to them on and off right the way throughout tonight's broadcast. So
that sounds great, mate. It's always good to get our drivers on board and have a chat to them. See how they're feeling about the race mid-race, you know. After the race, everything is sort of calmed down. They're feeling a little more relaxed about the questions that we're going to ask. And, you know, mid-race is always a good time to interrupt them and say g'day.
Yeah, look, we won't talk to them after something's bad's happened to them, shall we say. We'll grab them when they're in a really good spot and they've got an interesting strategy call to make. I think is probably going to be the better way to go.
Yeah, so speaking of strategies, mate, that was a great segue into this. What should we be looking at tonight? Like, I know you've said there's going to be a lot of pack racing and probably a lot of draft. What do you think like we could do with some pit strategies or what we might see from different drivers tonight?
So, same as always in terms of the SRW truck series. So, it's going to be 4 sets of tires. That's 1 set that'll start on the car, 3 sets they'll have sitting down on pit lane for them. I believe tonight they actually have to make 2 pit stops. So fuel's about 32 laps, so they're a little bit shy. So when they come down for tires are a big factor here. You got to keep the car smooth. You've got to really look after that front right-hand tire. That's what it's about looking after. A lot of the drivers are struggling in terms of getting the car to settle underneath them with the rear tires to start off with. Remember, lock diff, we saw a lot of issues with that at Coda a few weeks ago. Well, same thing here. Make sure you get that rear settled, build that throttle nice and smooth. You're going to see guys on huge runs. You're going to be seeing guys that will pit together. This is one of the first races where that team atmosphere really might come together. And Nathan Allen, part of the Man Up Sim Racing crew, part of the biggest team. And that's one of their benefits. They've got the Man Up guys and they've got the Velocity Sim Racing guys all working together. So there's a lot of drivers from that team. If they are all packed up together on the track, expect to see them to pit together. Why is that? Well, when you're doing the 2-car tango, it's faster to go with the body. You want to take yourself a drafting partner down a pit lane.
That's 100% true, mate. We know that works in a majority of the racing that goes on around the world, that if you can get a nice draft, it's definitely going to help you down that straight, and especially on wide open corners like NASCAR, they're still going to get some draft around these corners as well, aren't they?
Yeah, so there's a couple things to sort of think about. Do you sit a little bit further back in the pack? What's the benefits of that? There's trade-off, right? If you're sitting at the front end of the pack, nice and clear. You're only dealing with guys that are in your rearview mirror and you're only racing the track. If you're in the pack, you're dealing with a guy ahead of you, dealing with a guy behind you, dealing with 5 guys beside you, which can happen. Here at Michigan, the track's wide enough, the lanes are wide enough, so keep your eyes on for that. You may see multiple occasions where these guys can go 3. Definitely 4 wide is possible. It's capable to get around here. 5 wide, look, you're risking it, but you can do it here at Michigan. It's definitely a thing that can happen, but you are risking it for that biscuit at that point. Mate. So ultimately, if you're in the draft pack, you're going to save a little bit more fuel. What's the trade-off there? You're going to burn a little bit more tire. Your aero devices, they're not quite working quite as well. You may hear drivers talk about aero wash. That's going to translate into tire performance. So you're going to scrub a little bit more of that front right tire off. You want to be at full throttle for as long as you possibly can around here at Michigan. It's about that maximum full throttle time period. So saving that little bit of tire early on, lifting off into the corners where you might normally go flat out, yeah, that's going to cost you a little bit of time early on, but you've got a draft pack to pull you back together. Later on, after about, say, lap 6, 7, 8 to 10, you're going to still be mostly towards full throttle as everyone else starts throttling down throughout the run. So the pace will fall off. Tire fall-off is bigger here than any other track we've seen so far.
Mate, I was just actually about to ask you about the tyre fall-off, but, being the encyclopedia of oval racing you are, mate, you're answering the questions before I even get to ask them. And it's great to have you on board with this series too, mate. And thank you so much for helping get it organised. And a huge shout out to all the viewers out there tonight. Thank you for joining us tonight. It's lovely to have you here. And a huge shout out to all our major sponsors being DSL Welding Service, Dragonrc, and the Promo Department. It looks like the guys have run their quali laps, mate. Quali seems to always be quick. 1-2 laps and they're done.
Yeah, so 2 laps here, nice and quick. Capel, back to back. He's been at the top end of town. Matty Scholes is going to go along with him this week, but there's only been one driver that's been capable of putting their car down into a 39.7. That's been Lachlan Capel. We talked last week about making sure that you had the momentum up. This track is the first one where you have to use that first outlap. Your outlap and then your first flying lap to actually build your momentum up such that you can run that quicker lap on the second lap. So I can guarantee you that Lachlan Capel would have run the high side for his first lap and then he would have gone racing. Indeed, I can see that at the times. He's done a 40.478 on his outlap and then he's done a 39.788. That's or 787 it's showing on the timing chart. iRacing likes to do this thing where it gives you one time and it gives you 1,000th off somewhere else.
Speaking of Lockie Capel, that was last round's winner. The young gun coming through and showing some of these, older gents. How the young fellas come out and shoot for the stars.
I wouldn't say older. I'd say more wizened and experienced, shall we say.
You can say that. It might not offend as many people, but I'm not here to make friends, all right? I'm here to commentate a great race tonight, and it looks like we are getting ready to grid, Scotty, so I will leave you to the start.
Yeah, and like you said, Lachlan Capel, what a time. 39.787, he's going to lead us off. Matthew Scholes is going to be off the outside of row number 1. From row number 2, Gary Reddickcliffe and Braden Martin. Braden Martin been surging the last couple of rounds in the championship. He's looking for another strong finish here. Riley Jones and Aaron Hayden. Look at the finish that Aaron Hayden had last week. ran a really, really solid race, looking for more of that here. Times are really tight up at the top end of town. Paul Bryan, and then immediately outside of him, one of his teammates, and Nathan Allen. Tom Neal and Peter Morris are going to round out your top 10. Further back, it's George Milas and Jeremy Bush, P11, P12. Glenn McLeod, not quite his most strong qualifying performance, out in P13, looking for a strong surge from him here tonight. Luke Georgeson is going to be off his outside. Evan Horswell is going to be off the inside of row number 8, and John McHenry will be on his outside. Hayden Norris, another great finish, another strong drive last week from him. He's going to be back in P17 this week. A lot of work to do with Rick Jones to his outside. Jacob Hughes and Grant Matterford are going to make up the last of your top 20. Moving further back to P21, Daniel Weaver and Darren Palmerton are going to form the first row outside your top 20. Leon Williams at P23, Christopher Thornton will be P25, and Barry Hodges P26. Ignore Jaden Darling. That is our race controller for this evening, and he is in the server and fulfilling his duties as we need him to.
Sorry about the grid there, mate. I've
Look, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
I'm glad that you had all the names down there, mate. I'm so glad you're on board with me. But
Shout out to Steven Sinkovich in chat asking if I ever breathe. No, I've got oxygen hooked up on my side. I don't need to. Cyclic breathing. Breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth, and out comes the volume. Practice, man. Practice makes perfect.
All right, they're going to start hitting the track now. Getting out. This is one out lap and then green, or formation lap as they call it in the ovals. Looks like the guys have got the hang of actually pulling out in for... Oh, no! Just as I spoke, we had someone jump the grid. Oh, dear. Keep in mind...
It's kind of hard because... in terms of racing with this, if you're on a single monitor, that monitor doesn't stretch out to your right-hand side window, so you're operating on audio only. So that's why you see these guys actually running into each other. It's one of the small letdowns in terms of a sim racing world.
It looks like some are still... Oh, a lot of starting in from pit lane. Is that something that you'd normally see, or do you think it's a strategy these guys are playing just to sort of keep it safe at the beginning?
I don't think so. They're still forming up at this stage, so those cars are now coming out of pit lane, so ignore that. That's just, it takes a while. The leaders are going to pull out, and then everyone else sort of pulls out as well. So you can actually speed coming out of pit lane for the first time, and then everyone sort of forms up thereafter. So that's what's happening now, as Capel's actually made his way down into turn number 3, so he'll set us off here tonight. He'll be under control. Pace car speed for tonight, 114 kilometers an hour. So you'll see these guys sort of form up about now and then sort of hold that. So...
Awesome, mate. Well, I'm excited for this 75-lap race tonight. I hope everybody out there is as well, because from what we've been told, we're going to see some fantastic pack racing and everything I'm here for, plenty of accidents.
Oh, pace car's pulled off, green flag's in the air, and Lachlan Capel leads the field to green, immediately moves to the high side, looking to offer that drafting support to the outside lane, opens up the corner for himself down into turn number 1. He's a long way clear now. The only down part here, Shibby, is that he's now going to offer a huge draft to all those cars behind him.
Yeah, so starting in first in a track that's, you know, meant for drafting and pack racing, is a first quali a good idea, or is it a better idea to
Absolutely.
Sort of start? It is still good?
Yeah, you still want to get the track position, because the problem is if you're starting further back, you're reacting based upon their start. If you're out clear here in the lead and then something happens halfway through the pack, you're still out clear in the lead. You know, that yellow flag comes out, you've got control of the field again. You get to, the other thing is you get the last stall on pit lane. So when we actually come down for a caution, say to pit lane, it's very hard for somebody to actually overtake the leader, because generally when they cross the pit exit line, they're still bringing their car up to pit lane speed. So they don't lose as much time on pit lane as everyone else does.
Thanks for dropping in, Eddie, with the Go Fishy Peter Morris. We always get a lot of fishy supporters in the stream. They're just taking over, I think.
Big team. And a lot of support for their co-drivers. Oh, car nearly lost it on the entry to turn number 3. I want to say that might have been Nathan Allen, and indeed it was. Got very loose on the corner entry to turn number 3. Sideways, his rear tyres are overheating. He lost a whole bunch of momentum, and he's going backwards. And Hayden Norris sets the fastest lap so far this race. I think it's actually just been beaten by a car at the very back of the pack, but Capel continues to punch out in front.
Right, as always with pack racing, they are packed up already.
Yep, packed up, stacked up.
Oh yeah, 4 cars wide. Not fully. I want to get some serious 3-car, 4-car wide, guys. Let's put on a great show tonight. You can see the After Dark boys right there on screen right now doing exactly what you said would be very, very clear to see, is that the team's working together to keep that draft. Yeah,
so there's a couple different things. At this point in time, Aaron Hayden's actually made a move to take the lead away from Lachlan Capel. Capel's running the outside line. Now, you might be sitting there and going, but Scott, the outside line, it's the longest way around the track. Yes, you're 100% right. But the thing about the outside line is you don't have to lift out of the throttle anywhere near as much. The other thing is you open the corner up by running this outside lane, and it's actually quite a lot easier on the tyres. You're not trying to scrub it all the way down to the bottom. You don't lose as much momentum. So whilst Hayden is taking the quicker line around the track, Capel's not thinking about these first 5 to 10 laps. Capel's thinking lap 15, lap 20 onwards, and Hayden just won't be able to keep up with him if he has to stay at the bottom of the track.
Bit of bumping and grinding in the background just then. Couldn't quite catch who it was, but it looked like
Morris, I think it
ran
was.
off the track a little bit there. These cars are well in front of me at the moment.
George Minus. It was George Minus on the bottom of the track that ended up having contact with somebody. Don't know who it was, and somebody's in the outside barrier.
Yep.
I think that might be Peter Morris.
Oh, we've already had an instant. We've got a huge spin. Change cameras, you fool. Oh. All right, first yellow flag of the day. Let's see if I can find out what happened there. It looks like George Minus might have gone off track. We've got Paul Bryan going
That was the previous incident. So George Minus had a coming together in the front stretch with somebody else. I didn't quite catch which car that was, but effectively they were fighting over the same bit of real estate. Looks like George actually got a little bit of a run, was trying to poke his nose to the underside. The thing with the NASCARs is that once there's any overlap whatsoever, you've got to respect the overlap, because the problem is, if you don't do that, you're going to get punched in the outside barrier. So
bit of a gearbox cam for that replay. That car is spinning. Let's see if I can make that a little bit easier to look at, hey? So this was Gary Redicliffe.
He was running right up at the top end of town. Oh, that's a heavy impact.
So it looked like was it car 96?
The 7 car's Rick Jones.
Interesting. I'm clicking on a replay for Gary.
I think Gary Redicliffe might have actually been involved in that one, so I think you are actually right. And Redicliffe. So I've got Redicliffe entered as the 14 car, but he's got the 7 on the side. So that is actually Gary Redicliffe that we're looking at the moment. So it was Redicliffe that was involved in that one, and it looked like it was actually one of his teammates that was also involved with it. So we'll keep an eye on that one. I don't think it was Paul Bryan, but it was one of those red, black, and yellow cars. So definitely a man up of Velocity Sim Racing car. Not sure which one, but that's going to trigger our first caution of the night. The entire top 16 cars aren't going to come down pit lane at this point in time. Everyone else is. They're going to come down and grab a top off of fuel. Extra sets of tires left over in the bank here. 7 laps. So remember, 3 sets of tires to take somewhere between lap 1 and lap 75. The guys that are coming down now may be grabbing a fresh set of tires. They might have just kicked the car a little bit sideways, put a little bit of extra wear on these tires. The benefit that they're going to find isn't right now. So the benefit, if they're pushing hard right now, they're going to burn their rubber back off where they were. What they're looking at is, again, that same sort of thing as we were talking about with Capel running the high line 15, 20 laps from now. Everyone else is going to have to start lifting out of that throttle. These guys are going to have to lift out of that throttle, but it's going to be 7 laps later than everyone else, which means that when that overlap happens, they're going to be in a really good spot. Right now, they're sacrificing some track position to gain it all back later. One of the quirks of having portions.
Bit of a breather. Take a deep breath. Hook that
Tell
oxygen
you what.
tank up and get ready to go again, Scotty.
Why don't we see if we can dial up Braden Martin and get him here into the broadcast booth?
Why
Braden,
not?
Scott and Nathan here in the broadcast booth. How are you doing tonight?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Just surviving.
Surviving. So that's the process
Yes.
thus far. So not a huge deal for you. Opting to stay out, opting to come in. What's the discussion about pit lane strategy at this point in time?
The pit lane discussion is do whatever Lachlan does. Because he knows what he's doing and I don't.
So what are you? You guys are about half a lap from going back green here. So staying out here. Goal was to save a little bit of tyre. Do you think you've saved tyre compared to the guys around you at this stage?
Absolutely no idea. I think there's a few guys that seem to be running the low line pretty early. I was pretty much just trying to mimic the guys at the top. It's not really a line I'd run before, so just learning on the fly. And yeah, I think I've done okay so far on tyres. I haven't felt too bad. So.
All right, mate. About to go back green. Best of luck. I'll send you back up that way.
Yes, thanks, mate.
When I can find the channel, you just hang on. I'll find it. I found it. I found the channel. We sent him home.
Quick way is just move them into the green room and let them find their own way home. And we are back live.
You can't do that when they're racing. So, and back to green flag racing too.
We have Aaron Hayden out in front now, which I think he actually was in front just before the safety. It'll be interesting to see what these guys do.
So Cable's going to slot in behind here, so he didn't get the launch time perfectly right, but look at this. Just happy to draft all the way up on here. We'll see if he wants to abandon him and go for that run.
Is he
Makes
bumping
contact
him?
with the rear. Bump draft. That's a bump draft right there. So it's actually trying to shove him a little bit further down the road. He's trying to... at the moment, he just wants to save a little bit of time. See how he's offsetting himself through the corner as well, looking for that fresh air to the nose.
Oh, so this is what they've been talking about dirty air. So the closer you get to the back of the air, at the back of the truck, the cleaner the air is. But if you're sitting in a certain position too far back, you're actually getting hit with the wash of the air coming off the truck, correct?
Yes and no. So effectively, it means that your splitter, your front splitter, and all the aero devices around your front wheel tend to not work as well. The rear does as well, but the rear doesn't receive the same sort of level of dirty air. It gets it pretty much as you normally would. Skulls is actually going to go for a run here. To the inside. Nice bit of momentum coming off the corner. Gets to the door. Not quite clear. They're going to be level as they go down the front stretch this time by. And quite a fair bit of battling down through the pack as well. Evan Horsfield's the guy on the freshest set of tyres that's making his way through the pack. He's up to P15 from restarting about P17. So he's made a fair bit of ground. Nobody else has been aggressive at this point in time. Getting quite close up at the front end of town. You'll keep your eyes on Evan Horsfield in that number 8 machine on the low side here. So fresh rubber, it's not about right now. So right now there'll be next to no pace advantage. But say about a lap from now, there will start to be a huge pace advantage, so.
Sorry guys for the white cars for a moment, but I have noticed that the numbers on the cars are not matching our actual driver's numbers, so I'm just going to try a quick refresh and hopefully that...
Oh! That's Brent Mattisford that's involved in that one, and I have a feeling it's the number 2 machine that's also in there. Daniel Weaver. Caution has not come out for that one because they were at the tail end of the pack, so there was no pack coming when that contact was made.
Race is still live, no yellow flags, but Grant has entered the pit lanes. I cannot find that incident anywhere, so we will not be getting a replay of that, which is super disappointing. Go back down through the pack, have a check at John McHenry from Locked On Lads Racing. We've got Steven Sinkovic in the chat cheering on. Come on, J-Mac.
J-Mac in the Locked On Lads entry, I believe he's, what, 117 mid-pack at the moment. It's 117, running in P17.
Well, at least it looks like some of the car numbers are starting to match their actual driver numbers, so that's nice to know. That's going to make it easier to see who people are.
A lot more tyre scrubbing as well, so it's like somebody might be sliding the rear end of their truck around or the front end of their truck. So this is where Evan Horsfield should be starting to make some inroads, and Paul Bryan's actually gone along with him. So those two are starting to make a fair bit of headway through the pack. Now, they're in a really interesting situation. So Gary Redcliffe's also at the tail end of the pack, and Matthew Scholes has taken over the race lead. Aaron Hayden's dropped back in behind Lachlan Capel at this point in time. So Scholes has obviously saved enough rubber, saved a little bit of rubber early on, and now he's pressing on. So there's a couple of things you can do to save tyres. You can slow down the steering ratio, or you can shift the brake bias a little bit further back and use a little bit of rear brake to slow the car up going into the corner, take some weight off the front brake corner. Great battle pack going on here in the mid-pack too. It's amazing what you see when you go on board with some of these trucks, what they're doing. Listen to what they're doing with the throttle, how they're managing that throttle. That's what it's all about, throttle management, not getting back to the gas too aggressively. You sort of really got to build the throttle. If you're putting in too much steering input, you'll scrub the tires, but if you're putting too much steering input and throttle in, you shift the weight off the nose of the car, and all of a sudden, the front tires, where they had a little bit of grip before, they've got even less now.
And a Sidewoods truck is not that good of a truck. We're going to keep these things nice and straight and stiff.
That's it, pointing in the right direction. Jeremy Bush just about got up an outside wall there. I believe you're going to show it, yeah, here. So Minus is going to tuck in behind him. I believe that might have been Evan Horsfield that just made his way past, and indeed it was. So Evans grabbed himself another spot. So again, fresher tyres, fresher rubber, cooler rubber might be working in his favour.
Oh, Hayden's now taking another spot.
Gap at the front of the field is starting to close as well as Lachlan Capel starts to push a little bit more on that tyres. Hayden's still trying to run the bottom. Sorry?
Yeah. Steven Sinkovic dropping in our YouTube chat. I cheer my own driver on, but I don't want to jinx him. Go Team SRW.
So you're here to cheer J-Mac on, so J-Mac ends up in the fence is what I'm
hearing. Yeah. We don't need any more quitters, all right?
3 wide! 3 wide of the pass on the bottom side for Paul Bryan. Got a huge running come off turn 1 and 2. Sent it to the bottom side. Midas is going to try and go with him down on the bottom side of the track, and Team George, I believe it is, trying to make some running through. And look at Cable now. So Scholes pushed a long way out in front. He was really trying to be aggressive on those tyres, and Lachlan Capel's now started to run him down. See, Scholes had to bail out of the throttle there. He pushed up the track quite aggressively, and Capel's had to bail out of the throttle as well. So he gave him a little bit of a bump here, push him a little bit down the track. But he was still getting that momentum, still getting that draft. And Scholes has burned off that rubber, and Capel sat on the rubber. He's just very kind to the tyres, is Lockie Capel. Very smooth on the steering wheel. If you want to see a smooth operator at work, you don't go looking for Sergio Perez or Carlos Sainz. You go to Lockie Capel.
Mate, everything I've seen him drive, he is just a craftsman. He takes it very serious and really puts a lot of work in behind his skill. I had the great opportunity to race against him in the Rallycross on Friday night. If you guys want to catch that, please hit us up on a Friday night and come watch us throw some drift machines. Yeah, don't come watch. Race. It's actually join the SRW team. Come join our Discord and get involved. And actually, it's a free race open to all members of SRW. Actually, come and throw a car around.
And the best part is that you don't have to buy the track. You may have to buy the tracks depending upon where it is week to week, but you won't have to buy a car. The Volkswagen Beetle in the Rallycross is free to enter, so you just jump in that car, get involved and have some fun. Keep your eyes on Skulls here, because I think he's going to back it up now. So he needs to go back to saving a little bit of tyre. With Capel in front of him, Capel's going to start pulling him along, but he's still at risk of dropping another spot here to Aaron Hayden. If Aaron Hayden fights him, he has to let it go, because if he wants to fight Hayden and he wants to fight these guys towards the tail end of the race, he's going to really be super conservative on those tyres right now whilst he's got somebody to pull him along, because if he doesn't, he'll fall off like a rock.
We're 22 laps in too, and I'm sure they're going to want to be holding their positions for pits. And do you think what we'll see happen is once the front runners start pitting, that everybody else will sort of pull as well to keep that gap there, or do you think some might actually stay out? You reckon a few guys might have been a little bit gentler on their tyres in the back of the pack and try and throw a lap or two around to try and get that gap out before they pit?
Well, with that one caution, they've just about got enough fuel to make it to past halfway. So there's two real strategies. There's either you go for a two-stop strategy or you go for the one-stop. To get the one-stop done, you're going to have to save a fair bit of fuel, which means you're going to need to be out of the throttle a lot of this lap. Now, as these tyres fall off, you will save more and more fuel because you can't rotate the car as cleanly. So you need to get out of the throttle for a longer period of time. So you can possibly make it on one stop from here. That's a lot of saving, though. And that means that you've got to have guys around you that are still punching that hole in the air to make it happen. And I just don't see that happening. I think it's still a two-stop race. There should be some guys that'll have a go, though. The two-stop race means you'll run faster the whole time, but you're at risk of losing that lap.
All right, we've got some great battles across the field here. We've got Jacob Hughes, Tom Neal, and Riley Jones as well. 3-1. Oh, there's been a clip! That Riley Jones has just clipped the side of the wall. Put himself off. His truck is not happy.
He's in the fence quite hard. That's hard for Riley Jones. He was running an amazing race.
They were 3
really
wide
in a
coming
great
into
spot.
that corner as well, so tough one there. And those walls, as we've already discussed in the previous races, they are completely unforgiving.
Can we get a replay of that one? Because so Jones, everyone that's involved in that one, expecting them to pit this lap, come in, grab a fresh set of tyres and that fast repair. Because basically, why not? They're already going to be on that two-stop strategy. Why not come now, see if you can make all that ground up in this next sort of window of the race? And they're about, with lap 25, they're at that distance now where you might think about coming. If you're splitting this race into 3, 25, 25, 25. So it's actually not too bad a lap for it to happen. So if it's going to happen at any stage, now's the best time for it. We'll see if there's going to be a few more takers that come down with them. But yeah, I really want to see a replay of that one, if we can get it, because I didn't quite catch it live. I was trying to look at some data, look for lap times and those sorts of things. What have you got for me, Shibs?
Throw it down the hill. I don't know what's going on, mate, but my live timing is not responding to incidents on track. I'm not sure what's going on, mate, but I am working hard in the background here to try. That's why I keep dropping quietly, because my live timing is just not, capturing some of these moments, which is making it really disappointing, because I do love my replays.
Big shout out to Daniel as well, who's not shown up for this race. So the Team SRW no-show. I saved him earlier in the season. I bought him Coda, but I haven't bought him another track. So guys now starting to go for that two-stop strategy. You're going to see them dive to pit lane. I was just about to have a look at Matthew Scholes' fastest lap. So his fastest lap of the race was a 40.125. Not quite down into the 39s. You want to hold back a little bit. You don't want to go full bore the whole way. Generally going to be considered that bad idea, but 40.125 was about when he was trying to go for that lead. When he came to pit road there, he was down into the 41.529, was his last flying lap before he came to pit road. So he's dropped off from qualifying about 1.8 seconds. About 1.8 seconds. So that's a huge fall off. So by him coming to pit road now, he's going to make all that time up. And I'll tell you what, the entire field has come to pit road as well. The entire field has come to pit road.
Well, it seems like I was nearly correct with my question before about if they all might pit or not. And it looks like they are. There's a lot of cars hitting that pit lane and a lot of cars coming out of that pit lane as well. This is going to be interesting to see some of the rejoins.
I'll tell you what, Gary Redcliffe is probably going to come out into the lead here. Potentially. No, Paul Bryan has said. So all the guys that came down to pit lane on lap number 7 under that first and only caution period of this race, all of them have stayed out. And have a look at who they all are. They're all the Man Up Sim Racing and the Velocity Sim Sports guys. So all of that team working together using their smarts. They're splitting this race. They've gone, okay, well, we've knocked that first stop out of the water. We've only got to get to lap 38 now, and we're home.
Easy.
And that'll be their target.
Easy win, they reckon. That's not really
easy.
How it works,
not easy. It's tricky.
Yeah, tricky.
It's tricky because they need to stay together as a pack. If they get separated on the road from the pack, they lose a lot of time. One of the benefits of drafting is it makes you faster. One of the negatives of drafting, well, is when you've got no pack, you're sort of left out on your own. Quite difficult to make lap speed when you're just about wide open the whole way around the track without a draft path.
And this is a big track too. You can see the distance between the cars and the packs. Like there's a good corner, a good solid corner, a straight, and then the rest of the pack is hitting the corner as the first packer into the second corner.
Well, if you thought that that oval guys could only count to 4, well, they said no, we can only count to 3 because we're heading to Pocono next week. It only has 3 turns, and it's a different track again. Add another whole extra mile when we go to Pocono.
A longer track again.
Yeah, the longest on the schedule. They don't have any longer than a 2.5 mile track in NASCAR. And we've actually got 3 of them on the schedule for this season. We've got Pocono next week. We've got Daytona after Eldora. And then the season finale is in Indianapolis, which is also a 2.5 miler.
Some big races. Big tracks, I should say, mile-wise.
Yeah, and it's a lot of throttle percentage.
But I don't think we're going to be able to get any replays this evening, which is I'm a little bit disappointed about. But my lifetime is just not playing fun tonight.
It's playing hard to get.
Yeah, it is.
So let's have a look at this pit lane strategy at this point in time. So Rick Jones has managed to stay out here, and he's gone to lap 31 before he'll come in. He'll probably come to the pits this next time by. A few of the guys are now starting to cycle through pit lane at the end of lap 30. So they've gone quite far on this set of tires. Now, if they pit now and they pit a short pit at the end and don't take tires, everyone else is going to have to come in and take that extra set of tires. So the guys in the Man Up Sim Racing, they potentially could make a huge gain. Any of those guys that did actually take the tires, though, at lap 7, they should make the hugest gain. I was starting to think when they came down, it was for fuel only. They didn't actually take any tires at lap 7.
So quick stops, bit of fuel. I felt like they didn't need the tires. And back on the track.
So yes, changing tires is going to cost you about a 14-second pit stop. Fuel only, particularly for the small splash and dash that those guys are going to have to take, is going to be about 5 seconds. Now the difference is it's going to cost them about that 1.5 seconds a lap. So what's that? 14. So what we say 9 seconds. So that's what? 6 laps. So if it's only a 6-lap splash and dash, they might be able to get home quicker with just the splash, but it's going to be right on the borderline.
It'll be interesting to see as we're just ticking the halfway mark of our race this evening. Oh yeah, my maths is great tonight.
You've got cameras to manage. You don't need mathematics.
Oh dear.
So let's have a look at Scalzi. So he's a very, very interesting case. He's now set a new fastest lap, but he's now without any of this draft support. So he's gotten clear of Braden Martin behind him. Caution's flag has come out.
Yellow flag. Please get some information for us. Scotty, let us know what's going on.
So there was a caution. I'm seeing some slow cars on their way into turn number 3. It looks like it might be Redcliffe again that's involved in this one. I'm not seeing any damage though, so Grant was in and about. Grant Matterford as well. That car looked clean, so that's the slow car that I saw. But I don't know. I just don't know what caused that caution.
Beluga? Is that how I pronounce it? I'm sure it is. B-E-L-E.
Beluga.
Beluga? Send it, lads, has dropped into our YouTube chat. Thank you so much for dropping in, mate. Watching while I get some work done. Sadly, no rig time. Well, mate, hurry up, get that work done, and get in that rig. The quicker you get it done, the quicker you get in the rig, right? That's what my mum always told me. The quicker you get your homework done, the quicker you can play your Sega.
Man, you're showing your age with Sega.
Oh, mate, I had an Atari as well, if you want to go back even further. Been around it as a gamer for quite a while, and
So it was Luke Georgeson that caused the caution. I've just gotten some between him and the number 14. It looks like, which was Gary Redcliffe. So it was Gary Redcliffe that was actually involved in that one.
So did you say Luke Georgeson?
I did.
Well, hang on. Top.
I tell you what, it looks like Redcliffe might have made a mistake.
We're gonna do a bit of live rewinding here, guys. Sorry, this is not how we usually do it, but without the replays, without my live timing working properly this evening.
That's a tricky one. It's a tricky one. So
here we are here on Gary.
Yeah. This is it. This is just before it happened. So it looks like Gary Redcliffe basically is on the power. He's trying to keep the momentum up, and the car that's on the bottom is coming up at the same time as the car on the bottom side of the track. So he's coming down because he's getting awfully close to that outside barrier. He had it saved, Gary, so he didn't need to necessarily come down that lane, but at the same time the car on the bottom is coming up. The difficulty here is that the racing line wants you to carry that momentum all the way to the top of the track.
Who was that actually clipped him?
Luke Georgeson. So that's Redcliffe that's spinning there on. Right. Yeah. So it's Luke Georgeson that just went down onto the inside. So just about the entire field. If I'm these guys, we're what, 34 laps in, I'm still coming back down to grab a fresh set of rubber right now, because if I can set myself up here, this is the last set of fresh rubber that I take. I'm not going to gain a huge deal right now, but this means that I've only got to grab that splash and dash that we were talking about at the end. You've got that spare set of tires. I don't think you're going to use them, so theoretically, this is just using all the rubber that you've got available to you.
Just throw that rubber on, you reckon, and stick it out to the end, because you're not going to pit again, right? This is sort of.
Well, no, you're gonna have to come back for a splash and dash. There's 30 laps left in the race now, but the problem is, should we go green the rest of the way? Well, these guys are gonna be like a splash short. So what I would be doing is there's two ways to go at it. So remember how I said if you want to use 6 laps, if you've got less than 6 laps, it's splash and dash. If you're in the mid and back of the pack, I'm actually coming back down before we go green. So I would have just pitted again this lap and come back out again with a fresh set of full fuel tank. I know that I've got a full fuel tank. I'm going to go real slow and easy here, try and lift off as much as I possibly can, save enough to get to the end. Because if this goes green, I'm at the front end of the pack. I don't have to pit again.
Good strategy. So I wonder how many guys actually go back and watch these streams just to suck up on some of your knowledge. And honestly, we applaud you. Please do so.
Here's the thing. If you're at the back end of the pack, you don't have track position anyways, so why do you bother? Why do you care? May as well come back down and create a fuel advantage.
Alright, we're just about to go green again. Lucky Capel is back in the lead. Braden Martin second, Matty Scholes in third. And Matty Scholes is one to watch out for. He took out third position last week, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm not, I am correct. I've got some information correct. Let's go. And we are off and racing. As you can see, the pack across the field is bunched up again because of that safety flag, and the drafting is back on. Some bobbing and weaving happen here in the middle of the pack. Nathan J. Allen on board right now. Bit of movement.
it's just about getting yourself in line. So Aaron Hayden's trying to find where he needs to be. Glenn McLeod's made a great race so far. He's worked his way up through the field. So he actually started a long, long way down the field. So now he's sort of racing for things up the front. So that says to me he's very, very good on the tyres. Grid 13th, his one-lap pace, not fantastic. Race pace is phenomenal.
Georgeson making a move on Barry Hodges. It looks like he might even try and make a move on Evan. He's right up. Evan there, sitting right on the back of him. Barry's going to pull him as well and try and get some more of that draft with him.
You just see the guys that are looking to go to the high side, they're looking to try and hang on to some momentum, but it's such a long way around the corner. We're 3 wide at the front, actually. Let's get our action up there. Actually, I think it's 3rd row back. And Glenn McLeod is on the bottom side of this one in the middle. You're going to have, I believe it's Jacob Hughes and Hayden Norris. So the 96 and 23 machines are just the outside. They managed to finally pull ahead. They got a little bit of draft support. Their corners were a little bit more open. Didn't have to scrub off the momentum, so they settle themselves all back in. But now Glenn McLeod's dropped a whole bunch of momentum. He's now tried to get back in the line. Big wreck at the tail end of the pack.
And that's who we were just on board with, Barry Hodges. I'm assuming there was quite a lot more people involved in that with what you saw from your end, Scotty.
No, that was it. There was just the one car. So he's basically, somebody's got to run, I believe, to the top side of him coming off the corner, or he was to the top side. And basically, as the 2 lanes are sort of intersected, Barry's trying to come down and follow the draft pack. He might have even clipped the wall there, bounced up and down. You've got to stay consistent with your line.
Unlucky. He was doing extremely well there as well. Is that... No safety flag. Only one person involved. They're going to let it run.
No, caution's out. Caution's out.
Again, my live timing is not reporting correctly. Again, I keep mumbling to myself like a producer usually does in the background. I'm pretty sure it's coming through on stream. So, again, if you guys hear me mumble anything, I'm not saying anything bad about you guys out there. You guys are absolutely fantastic, and we always seriously thank you so much for joining us and helping support Sim Racing World on its journey. And also supporting all our drivers, mainly getting out there and supporting all our drivers. That's what we want you to be. Anybody out there right now, throw some names in the chat of who you've got dibs on tonight to win this, or who your favourite drivers might be.
So Lachlan Capel's a really interesting case here because he's actually lost the lead of the race. I would actually pit. The reason why I would do that is NASCAR has this really fun thing called faking or throwing the dummy when you come down to pit lane. What they do is as you're coming to the pit lane entry, you fake like you're going to win, and at the last moment, you go out. Or, conversely, you do the other way around. You make it look like you're going to stay on the racing surface. That makes the guys that are ahead of you, they're like, well, we can't lose track position to this guy. We just cannot lose the situation. So we're just going to come back down. These guys are now committed that they've still got to make one more stop to get to the end of the race. It's just that little bit of fuel short at this point in time. If I'm these guys, I'm coming down, I'm grabbing that splash, I'm making sure that I can make the end of the race. Besides, fresh tires, these guys have been on these tires now since about lap 27, 28. Whereas a few of the guys towards the tail end of the field have just come down, grabbed fresh tires. They're going to have a huge track speed advantage at this point in time. Rick Jones came down under the last caution, grabbed himself a fresh set of tires. He's car number 7, sitting in 13th spot. Paul Bryan as well grabbed a fresh set of tires on that last caution. So, he must have just pit. So there's a few guys towards the tail end of the pack who've got slightly fresher tires now. Guys have just pit under this caution. The number 23 car, I believe, is on the podium last week.
Hayden Norris.
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
Tom Neal came down as well. Evan Horswell came down. Peter Morris. Barry Hodges. Grant Matterford will not come down this time by, but Gary Redcliffe did. And Grant Matterford has, I believe, just gotten the lucky dog, got himself back to the lead lap.
Again, do you want to explain the lucky dog to any viewers out there that are new to NASCAR?
Yeah, so basically, all the cars that are one lap down, they might be sitting here under these cautions going, my race is over, there's nothing I can do. I'm one lap down, I'm not competing for it. NASCAR, that's not the case. NASCAR wants to keep it exciting for the fans. NASCAR wants to keep it exciting for us commentators. So they kind of have a race for the best of the cars that are one or more laps down. Whenever a caution flag flies, the lead car that was not involved in the caution, that isn't on the lead lap, so that's one or more laps down, gets to get that lap back for free. Why that's critical is because that car can still pit. These guys are still able to get their lap back. If they don't pit and the entire rest of the field ahead of them does pit, they will get waved past the pace car at the 1 to green just before the cars start forming up. But they don't get to pit. So the benefit here for Grant is that he gets his lap back, and if he wanted to come back down and pit again, he'd get that one for free as well.
There you go, viewers at home, if you had no idea. Now you do. And Encyclopedia of Ovals is here to answer your questions. Any questions you have about NASCAR or oval racing, getting them in the chat. Keep Scotty talking. Means I don't have to do so much.
If you've got some questions about sim racing, if you've got some questions about oval racing, this has been my bread and butter. I joined iRacing in about February of 2020. Actually, it was April 2020. Ever since then, I've grown up circuit racing and those sorts of things. Now I'm an oval racer. So this is my bread and butter. If you want to learn something about these sorts of cars, use me whilst I'm here. To see how the cars are already gone there, they're allowed to do that. That's because once the pace car pulls off, once that pace car makes that first jog towards pit lane, they are free to go racing.
You can see with that camera just how close some of these guys are getting to that corner 2 on the exit of these corners. Pedal to the metal.
I can tell you, Hayden Norris is absolutely moving. Where did we say he was at that last restart? He was like P17, P18. He's already P9. He's gained half of his spots back already. That's how big the tires are at this stage. Keep your eyes on him because he's just continuing to surge forward as well. He's probably the strongest car out on track at this point in time. Over the last few weeks, I've talked about how important it is to have fresh rubber at the right time. Hayden Norris, he's picked his pit window and he's came down. Look, it might have been a little bit out of cycle compared to absolutely every other car, but sometimes you got to be brave.
In this case, it might just have worked out. I don't have to wait and see. Anything can happen in NASCAR. I'm only new to helping on board with the NASCAR in sim racing, but I have enjoyed watching a little bit on the side.
Have a look about how he's moving through the pack as well. Grab an onboard shot if you can here, Nathan, because he's been willing, he's going to use the bottom line here to go down and underneath the car towards his outside, which will be Tom Neal. So he's willing to just say, hey, I've got the rubber underneath me. He keeps the momentum up in the middle of the corner. He's just picked up 2 spots in that corner alone. He's got Glenn McLeod to his outside right now, and that's Braden Martin right there ahead of him in the 09 truck. He's got rubber underneath him. So basically, coming into the corners, he just looks and goes, yep, that bottom lane's open. I'll take that. I'll slide through. Oh, yep, coming down into this next corner. I see a gap on the top side. I'm going to slot in there. He's just picking off whichever lane has the gap in it, which is exactly what he needs to do. Keep an eye out to his right-hand side this time by. This is where the top line really works. Braden Martin's going to come back at him. He's just out of shot right now at the moment. He had a huge run on. Now, because Aiden Norris has had to go back to the bottom, washes all of that momentum off, but he's still got more momentum on the cars all around him because of that fresh rubber, slots back in. And remember, the tire fall off at this stage was about 0.5, 0.6 of a second, 0.7 of a second even, in that first run where we got that extended green flag period. That's how much time Hayden Norris is saving on these guys right now.
And you can see, you can physically see the speed he is moving through this pack. He is now up 14 positions into 3rd place.
So have a look again. He just sort of checks, okay, where do these guys want to run? Because he hasn't been up here for a little bit. He's thinking, has the low line come in? Are these guys running faster towards the bottom end of the track? Do I want to be down there? Alternatively, at this stage, he can just go, I want to save some fuel so that I'm closer to making it. My splash and dash at the end is shorter than everyone else. So he can just elect to just run in this pack with these guys. He doesn't have to punch the hole in the air.
Got a bit of, looks like to be a bit of 3-2. Oh, yeah, got 3-4. Got another pack here at the back here, starting with Daniel Weaver.
There's a mini pack in between these guys as well. So Weaver's at the front end of this pack. And I believe he's actually got Riley Jones just ahead of him. And then you've got a small breakaway pack, which I believe is actually, sorry, Paul Bryan and Riley Jones are just ahead of them in that small breakaway pack sitting in between the two packs. But then it's Weaver that's the head of this second.
Hey, we got packs forming across this field from start to finish. There is less than a second between majority of these guys, with some of them being hundredths of a second, right on top of each other. The draft racing is really starting to show as we move back up towards the front to Aaron Hayden, involved with Jacob Hughes.
There's a huge send there from Aaron Hayden. He really wanted to get underneath Capel. It's in Capel's best interest to try and pull Skulls along with him, because if he can get Skulls to push him, there's a little buffer of air, a little air bubble that'll sit between these trucks. It'll push Lachlan a little bit further out in front, make him go faster. It'll drag Skulls along with him. So because basically Lachlan Capel's punching a hole in the air, he's doing all the drag, right? He's getting all the drag on his truck. But then there's a little air bubble that'll form in between the two trucks, which is almost like bump drafting, but kind of without bump drafting. It's not quite as efficient as bump drafting, but just by having that car reasonably close behind you, both trucks go faster.
That's what we came here to see. Trucks going fast.
How does Hayden Norris taking a trick, though?
Mate, he has driven absolutely outstanding. He's actually moved himself in the first place now with a second gap on Lockie.
So Capel's starting to lose the draft. That's the margin that he's pulled through. So he's gained 16 spots and then still had the rubber underneath him to pull a second on Capel. And Capel's no slouch in terms of tire saving. That's just the difference of fresh rubber.
It is, mate. He's pushed it out to nearly 2 seconds and still going.
And he will. Everyone else, their tires are just going to continue to fall off. Now, his tires will fall off, but they won't fall off anywhere near as fast. Everyone else's tires. So George is going to come to the pit road. There's no pit lane speed limiter in these cars. You got to get it down to pit lane speed limit manually. You don't have that benefit. So you got to watch that number on your dash and go, I'm nearly there, I'm nearly there, I'm nearly there. Okay, I hit the pit lane speed limit.
And if that was me, I'd be getting black flagged every time I entered the pits. It took me a long time to realise that there was an auto pit limiter, and I tell you what, mate, that has saved me in a lot of races. I have a horrible tendency of coming in way too fast into the pits.
Turn it off, learn it manually. It's a tricky skill, but once you learn it, it actually teaches you really good throttle control and fine throttle control. So Riley Jones has said, hey, things aren't working out my way. I'm going to come down pit road. I'm going to grab, I know that I can make it to the end from here. It's only a 21 lap sprint. I'm going to grab that fresh set of tires now. So I was going backwards in the pack, cut my losses. Let's have a go. Let's see if I can make some time up just by running out there on fresh rubber outside of all of these positions. These guys are going to be slower than him. Oh, but this is...
Aaron Hayden and Braden Martin come together. They've both held it onto the track after hitting the grass. No way.
If I was in these guys' shoes, I would have just pit straight away, because you've already lost all that momentum, so you're going to lose a lot more time trying to get back up to speed. I just come straight down pit lane. Forget that. I'm not going to try and lose more time catching back up to these guys. I'm just going to cut my losses. Whole host more guys on pit lane at the moment, including Matthew Skulls. Skulls has been really, really poor at managing his tires. His outright speed has been fantastic. That's what we've seen from him in every oval race this season. Be interesting to see if this entire pack now just comes down to pit road.
We're on lap 56, just tick lap 56 of 75. We have a lot of cars coming to pits, and was that? That looked like tyre smoke screaming in the background. Someone might have got a little bit sideways there.
So what you want to do with these cars with that locked rear differential is as you're coming down a pit road, you get it down one gear at a time and you take it really, really slow and really late, because otherwise you just lock that rear diff and you just leave it in second gear when you pit. You don't come all the way back to first, because the problem is first has got such a high torque in that gear that it's impossible to use first gear to engine brake in these things. We saw a lot of guys struggle with that at Coda.
Speaking of that rear diff, here's a beautiful, beautiful view of the suspension and the diff for you, just real quick.
Look at that thing bounce. Look at that bad boy. You put some work in this week, Nathan. I'm impressed. How long did you reach up under there whilst the car was moving, or did you wait until Jeremy Bush was parked on pit lane to sneak that camera in there?
Mate, I had to wait until they were all parked on there and get my GoPros fed in, you know, like it's been a tough job setting up some new cameras to bring, you know, different views to something you might not normally see, and you know, suspension can be interesting to some, so especially in trucks with a fixed diff and fixed suspension, so
it's so critical to see how the tires, because remember, this is what crew chiefs are doing. They're looking at the traces of the suspension. How's the car making grip? Well, it's forcing the tires into the road. You need that contact patch. The bigger the contact patch, the more grip you make. But sometimes you want to lean on the inside edge of the tire a little bit more than the outside. These trucks will actually run their steering when they're sitting, when the trucks actually go, oh!
45, Evan. No, Jeremy Bush, I'm sorry. We're going to get a DSL action replay of that. Oh, he's just clipped the wall. You can see the sparks come off and then run down. Oh, so it's actually been...
And they're three wide at the wrong time.
So that was not of Jeremy Bush's fault, I don't believe. It looks like that car is hard to see what it is because his side was all beat up. Unlucky, mate.
He's on the lead lap, though, so he's okay.
So he will... Oh, he didn't pit. He's going to keep going. Or does he get an option to try and pit again?
He will get the option to pit later on. So the first time by, the pack's still forming up. They actually closed pit road, so pit road's not open until they've actually all caught the pack.
Yeah, you can see on the outside another car. I think it might have been
Barry Hodges.
Barry Hodges, yes.
I believe that's his second caution cause of the night, which means that might be an EOL for him.
Good racing. It shows that it's such close racing when you come to an oval track, doesn't it? Everybody, especially something like this, as you said, with all the draft racing and pack racing, everybody is so close that any little bit of, you know, mistake or movement is going to throw either yourself off or the rest of the pack. And as you can see, we have a lot of people coming into the pits right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Our top 6. Just thought I'd count that out for you guys. Our top 6 have all decided to pull into the pits. Lucky Capel is still out there. He does have the opportunity.
So Capel gets the lucky dog here because he's the first car that was the lap down. So of everyone that had pit, he was the lead of those guys. The problem is when you pit at this track, the cars are moving so quickly that you just lose a lap. Every single time that you pit, you'll always lose a lap. The problem is caution comes out, then you kind of stuck that lap down. But they were all screwed because they needed to pit. They weren't going to make it in terms of fuel, and they needed to split the difference in terms of the tires. It just didn't work out for them. Capel gets an opportunity to free pit here, so he'll at least come back down, grab that fresh set of rubber, still be in contention. Everyone else that's off the lead lap here will take a wave by, don't get that opportunity to pit.
So Lucky Capel has actually sort of rolled the dice a little bit here and got lucky in his positioning when that safety came out. That will push him up into 7. He's still down 6 places from qualifying on first, but you never know what can happen. Hayden Norris up 16 places. As you can see, our whole top 6 are actually essentially flipped around from where they started in qualifying. There has been some big movement, as we saw with Hayden Norris fighting all the way through the pack. all the way up into first place. He is up 16 positions. What an absolute drive he has had tonight.
So this is actually interesting. Riley Jones and Nathan L, I think. Okay, never mind. The wave buys will happen, I think, this time.
I was just about to ask that question, mate. I was going to say, hang on, we have back markers in the way. So I was a little
Yeah. So they're clearing the pace car now, and then the field will form up.
And the wave rounds will start. And here they come. While we get ready to go green again, I'd just like to say thank you to everybody for joining us tonight. It's always a pleasure having you here and supporting our drivers of the Sim Racing World League. If you want to get
So that's
involved,
how many cars. How funny is that? That's what our pack looks like at this stage. That's because everyone right now is trying to catch the pack. They've had to be released from behind the safety car and told to go get your lap back because they're between the leaders and the pace car. So Hayden Norris will have control of the field. Peter Morris will be to his outside. Evan Horse will be P3. All the way down to Lachlan Capel, who's in P7, I believe.
Correct.
Everyone else, so from 8th through to 21st, had to be waved by the pace car that time by. So we have 8 cars in our pack. Everyone else is trying to catch that pack.
They're slowly catching up now, as you can see on the track map up there. They are catching up and getting ready to form up again.
Green flag.
Oh, we're going green before formation is finished.
Because there was so many cars to try and catch the pace car there, that's why.
Oh, so that's the thing. So they don't have to wait for full formation. If you're not there, you miss out on being back in the pack again.
Yeah, look, there's no big issue. Everyone's just trying to file themselves back in. So the
With the yellow machine of Mr. Peter Morris. He's comfortably in second place right now. 12 laps to go. This is going to be one exciting race to the end. Don't forget to hit that subscribe or follow button to keep up with everything we do on SRW.
So just sort of keeping our eyes out. So the guys that got their wave by right now, they're actually going to have really, really old tyres. Everyone else is going to have fresh tyres. That was a really slow car towards the top end of the track. I think it might have been Riley Jones, actually. No, because that's Riley Jones on screen right there with Aaron Hayden. A beautiful 99 machine. The After Dark Sim racing cars are pretty, and so are the Man Up Sim racing cars and Velocity racing cars as well.
Mate, I love.
We've got a lot of pretty cars.
I love the retro look of the After Dark cars. There's something about them. The color schemes, everything are just really nice. But yeah, across the field, across all our series, whoever's making these guys liveries are doing a great job.
I actually call them paint schemes. We're in the US of A, so we've got to call them paint schemes.
We've got to use American terminology.
Yeah. So it's not a livery. They say livery too. It's not livery.
Yeah, livery. Oh no, that terrible fake Southern American accents coming out. I have a Southern friend in America. Actually, he loves the NASCAR. He really does not like me giving him a bit of stick about loving NASCAR.
It's easy, isn't it? It's just turn left.
Yeah.
As these guys have shown, it's one of the hardest things to do because it's all racecraft in NASCAR. It's literally timing your run. When am I going to go? How do I look after the tires? How hard can I push this thing? It's not that simple. And that's where these circuit guys are tripping up because normally they'll race somebody into one corner a lap at the most, right? You're not going to go side by side all the time. The car's not going to push up and you're going to have to check up a little bit to make sure you get through the corner side by side all the time. It's a different skill set and they're just not used to it yet. It may just be turning in the one direction, but to do it properly, it's not easy.
And at high speed too. It's not like these guys are going slow at all.
Keep your eyes on Lucky Capel here as well. He should have had a fresh set of tyres under that caution, so unless he didn't have a set of tyres left over is my only thing.
Let's get on board with Lucky Capel and see what happens. Taking it low. Oh, just push past number 45. Jeremy Bush, as I said, Grant, that's definitely not. See the front of his truck just sticking out there. They are so close.
It's actually funny seeing Lachlan Capel race somebody with Bush written on their truck, because he's his favourite driver, and the reason why he runs number 18, he's a big fan of Kyle Busch, who is a NASCAR racing legend.
Would you believe
in
I actually
the US
know
of
who
A.
that is?
Are you kidding me? You know a NASCAR driver?
I actually know a couple, but to be honest, I can't name off the top of my head right now. I've spent a bit of time looking into the history of NASCAR and the drivers, and of course, you know, some pretty phenomenal wrecks.
So of course you know the drivers that throw the biggest tantrums. So yeah, great job.
The ones that cause the best shows, you know.
He's an entertaining driver, and I think that's why Lucky likes him. Is he shakes things up. Kyle Busch isn't the kind of guy that's going to follow along and do everything that he's told. The most recent race at Darlington. Sorry, it was actually Kansas over the weekend. So the last weekend at Darlington, he actually parked his car on pit road because last year he got a penalty and fined by NASCAR for running over cones when he had a damaged car trying to get it back into the garage area. So this year he said, well, I'm not going to drive over the cones. I'll just park it on pit road.
Mate, if it was Hollywood, he would be a well-paid actor, that's for sure.
Oh, he is a well-paid actor. He doesn't need Hollywood on his side.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. The pack is definitely smoothed out a little bit. I don't want to say too much, but it looks like the boys are getting into a groove now. We've got some
it's just every time we settle into a groove, that's where we start to go wrong. Have a look at Grant Manifest. So that Pulse Racing car in the blue, black, and yellow that you see, top lane, third in that top line queue, just gone past screen. I'm watching a delayed stream, so I should really not do that. Lachlan Capel's teammates. So these guys have been working together, putting in a little bit more practice. Grant wasn't able to make it last week, but look at the position that he's running in this week. He's doing a phenomenal job, and this is a huge improvement for Grant. This is the best I've seen him drive on oval. That's it. Look around. Is there a car around? Yeah, there's a car to the top side. He's got to be a little bit careful. Can't run all the way up to the top end of the track. That's Evan Horsfield to his outside. So he'll try and suck back up in behind Evan Horsfield. So Evan had a huge run off the top. Didn't have to scrub the momentum off. So that's how he got that pass done. The problem for Grant is, if he wants to get down to the bottom side of the track, he needs to do it in a single lane, because otherwise he's going to lose momentum. Braden Martin trying to pick up the throttle aggressively in the middle of the corner, picked it up too soon, drifted a little bit up, had to bail out of the throttle. That's why he lost momentum there. It's all about timing when you pick the throttle up. And as these tires start to wear, the car just doesn't want to rotate. So you've got to be a lot more patient on the car. Patient on the throttle, let the car rotate. Rick Jones trying to send it down the inside of Capel. So you'll see Capel here, stays high, really strong run off the top lane, and he's in with the draft lane as well. But Capel's got to be careful. He's burnt off a fair bit of rubber.
I had something to say then, maybe a question. It was there, and then it was gone.
Much like this race here tonight, this has flown by.
It has made lap 72. Oh, come on.
Only a couple left to go.
Can we get a safety? I want to see a repeat of last
You here for
week.
some more NASCAR overtime?
Oh, mate, that was so exciting, NASCAR overtime. that was fantastic.
Isn't it great how NASCAR is one of these sports that's a fan-based sport. It's all for the fans. They said other sports can have overtime. I think we could do that better, and I think it's paid off. We're seeing more races end on a green flag than not, so that's the kind of finishes you want. Oh, look at the run from Evan. He nearly got to the outside of Peter Morris there. Peter Morris has got to be careful, because if Evan gets to his outside, Evan's just going to take that away from him. There's nothing he can do. He's just stranded.
Lucky Capel has just got in front of Jeremy Bush to move up into 5th place as well.
He's got to make this run now, Lockie. He's got a long way to catch back up onto the guys ahead of him. He will still be in draft range, but he's got to go now. He's built that tire advantage, but he's got 2 laps to make it happen. He won't win this one, but he's got a shot at a podium. A very, very slim shot. He's got to make a lot of time right here.
Going to make up about 1.5 seconds, so it's looking like on the timing table, getting onto the back of Grant.
But in good news, Evan Horswell had a really poor run out of that corner, and now it's actually going to let Grant slide down the inside. It's slower when you're racing side by side. It's slower, and that might just play into Capel's favor.
Great battle here between Grant and Evan. Was that a little bit of a touch?
I weren't expecting each other to be there. I don't think Evan thought Grant was going to come that far up the track, and I don't think Grant thought Evan was going to come that far down the track.
All right, we are on white flag.
Next flag will end the race.
Jeremy Bush so close to him. He is finding it hard to shake him. We have Hayden Norris in first with Peter Morris hot on his trail in second. Evan Horswell and Grant Matterford all fighting for our positions.
Peter's going to lose that podium. I was just about to say, I'm getting ready to celebrate for the Fishy boys, and he's thrown it away at the last moment. Did he have help? I need to see that last corner again. Did he have help there?
Let's find out, mate. Congratulations to Hayden Norris for the win. So that was Mr. Peter Morris. And he got passed by Evan and Grant. So he dropped the 2 positions there. So let's see if I can find a quick replay.
No, he's just in deep on his own.
Yep, just gone up onto the wall. Scraped the wall. Dropped his podium finish on the last corner off the race. What an absolute battle we had from start to finish. I think I definitely enjoy these the battle racing. Yes, get out there, guys. Throw fists, run into each other, battle it out hard. The draft racing, I meant to say, I think that was fantastic. Kept the field. All 25 drivers tonight were within a second of each other in most instances, moving at top speeds. Well done to everyone involved tonight. Congratulations to the viewers for sticking around with my awful commentating. I swear it will get better, and that's why I leave it up to Scotty. The man knows his stuff, and I'm here for the ride. David Nash dropped in. Hard to think Jay Hughes is driving from the Carrington boat ramp. Nash, are you going to have to fill us in with a little bit more information?
I need to know.
Yeah, we need to know now. I think you can't tease us with a little bit of information and not tell us what's going on. Robbie Griffiths on Facebook there. Go, Pete, go. Mate, I feel like Griffo, it might have been your fault. You put too much pressure on him. Too much pressure on Pete. And then Pete's in chat.
Disappointed.
Pete drops into chat to say, damn it. Oh, mate.
I was excited.
We were.
I was there for a Pete Morris podium. I was thinking, this is his chance. He's going to grab it. But a big shout out to Evan Horswell. He's been working hard. He's been turning a lot of overlaps, and it's come his way. And Hayden Norris, 2 weeks in a row, back-to-back podiums. Could he be leading the championship?
Oops, that's the one. Come on, Jimmy.
I love a boat ramp as well, David Nash. Big fan of a boat ramp.
I'm very interested to All right, the results are up after a few clicks of a button. Oh god!
Tell you what, we've got our first podium getter in the green room to get a chat with us straight in. I think it's the first time he's actually been here for an SRW broadcast. Welcome to the broadcast booth, Mr. Grant Matterford. Congratulations, buddy. Don't think you saw that one coming your way tonight.
No way. I think I got lucky there, and yeah, stoked to go P3 in the end.
Talk to us about the strategy. So you obviously stayed out a lot.
There was no strategy. I think I hit the wall around lap 10 really hard, and I was shocked there was no caution. So having to pit for damage, went a lap down. Next time around, I actually managed to race my way back onto the lead lap, and then did the crazy thing of pitting under closed pits, and then got a lap down again. So, but lucky dog saved me about half distance, I think, and then. Yeah, I was just lucky enough because I stopped late. Then I still had 5 litres of petrol when everyone was coming in for their green flag pit stop. So that seemed to be what really sort of shook the field up there at the end.
And it's tricky, isn't it? So for those guys who are at home, talk to us about it. When you come down pit lane, you're sitting there and guys are thundering past you at 270, 280 kilometers an hour, and they're doing that for a whole lap. You just feel helpless when you're stuck on pit lane. So to not have to do that under green flag conditions, I think you avoided all green flag stops here tonight.
Yeah, that's it. Because when I had to do take my black flag, 15 seconds stop and hold. Just coming in from the back of the pack, and I lost the whole lap then. So it goes in a blink of an eye. But then I saw the leaders how they were all coming in, and I managed to leapfrog them still with fuel in the tank. So that's NASCAR for you. Eh?
So you were only a couple of laps shy, and it's about fuel saving sometimes, and the cautions fall your way. Tyres obviously fell off a fairway as well tonight. Do you think those guys were going, look, everyone else is coming, I've got to cover off this undercut?
Yeah, I guess they probably were, they probably had tyres in the bank, so they probably thought, take the early stop, get tyres, and then maybe leave some tyres for maybe later in the race. But it was a very tricky race there at the end. Even though we had some fast guys behind us, it was hard to make really the inside line work. So there was one ideal line, and to try and get under a guy was very difficult to get a good run with everyone wearing tyres.
How did you find it? So obviously this is the first real pack racing track that we've had, the first of our 1.5 mile tracks on the circuit. We've got another pack racing track coming up again next week. It's all about drafting and building a run. First taste of it, first taste of NASCAR. Have you been racing these cars or even NASCAR in general, or ovals in general prior to this season?
I've dabbled in a bit here and there. I've done the odd Daytona 500 and a few other things. But I was pretty impressed. To be honest, I was impressed with how many cautions we had tonight. Like a lot of these guys, we've been first real pack racing, and I found trying to go under or around the outside of cars, there was very, very clever, smart driving out there by the whole field. So hats off to everyone. I think hopefully we put on a good show.
And it's a different skill set too, isn't it, with the wearing tyres? The car wants to rotate nice and cleanly, and indeed for a couple of guys it wanted to over-rotate on the first laps of these runs, but as the run went on, there was less and less turning at the front end of the car.
Yeah, that's why it caught me out, halfway through the first run. It really caught me out. I just ran up into the wall, just took me by surprise, to be honest, in a bit of the draft. And it takes a while just to understand sort of how much you can push it through the mid corner or on the outside or the inside. So it's just the number of more laps you do, sort of the more feel you get for it, how far you can dive underneath and how much you can hold it there tight.
And more importantly, you've got that 16-year-old sitting there in your team chat. How easy is it working with the young lad?
Yeah, well, I thought he might have had something for us there. I know he had a few goes, just lost the momentum. But he's got a lot of pace, and he's taught me a few things and helped me along the way. So it's good having him in there. And unfortunately, the pit cycle didn't work out for him tonight. But as he said to me in the chat, that's NASCAR for you.
That is NASCAR. Sometimes it works out. Sometimes you caught a lap down. Most of the field got caught a lap down, and Grant Matterford is the guy that benefited from that one. Congratulations, Grant Matterford. Your opportunity to thank all the guys that support you.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I just like to thank my teammate Lockie for his help, and our sponsors, Century Batteries, CM Security, Australian Waterproofing Company, and West Performance. And thank you guys for putting the show on and giving us the coverage on the broadcast.
Most importantly, Grant, are we going to see you back again next week, next season, even after this one?
Oh yeah, I'm keen to be here every week if I can make it, and if life lets me, I'll be here. I'm keen as. So.
All right, you better tell everyone else over there at Pulse Racing Team. I've had a joy working with you guys previously. a couple races and watching Lockie, you tell them I expect to see more of them next season.
Yeah, we'll try.
Completely different.
Definitely, we'll try and get the numbers up. There's a few guys, they're closet NASCAR fans. So yeah, we'll try and see if we'll get them on track next season.
All right, mate. Sounds like Lucky Caper wants to go back and celebrate with you some more, so we'll leave you with it. Thanks for your time tonight, Grant.
Thanks, Scott. Thank you.
I was actually going to go digging and see if I could find Evan Horswell, because I think this is a first for him being on the podium in a broadcaster race. He does a phenomenal job. So, but I don't have a hold of him at this point in time. But you know who we do have a hold of is going to be Hayden Norris. So we'll grab him here in a sec. Hayden, how you going? Scott and Nathan up in the broadcast booth tonight. Congratulations, mate. 2 weeks, 2 podiums. This time, one a little bit better than last week.
You're not wrong there, mate. Definitely wasn't expecting, that's for sure. As the first lap around this place was last night, and no, I can't complain about that. It was good fun.
Good fun. Good hard wearing on those tyres. How's the old front right and the rear tyres after that race?
Bit second-hand, I'd say. Probably wouldn't go another race car again.
Mate, looked like you called the pit lane strategy absolutely perfectly. I think you pit would about lap 42 under that caution. Nobody else came. There was only a couple of other cars that came down. And you ran through, I think what we're actually looking at on screen at this point in time, you ran through the whole pack in like 6 laps. That would have been an exciting moment for you.
After that, I knew I had fresher tyres than pretty much everyone. And I think I got up to 4th in 1 lap or something like that. So yeah, that was awesome fun, pushing through with good tyres. It's, good fun. Love it.
So, mate, what have you learned coming week to week so far? Because obviously this is a little bit of a new discipline of racing for most guys in here in the field, and it's about being on fresher rubber at the right time. You've had to get the calculator out, do a little bit of fuel math, try and get the distance, but at the same time you're going, I've got 4 sets of tyres, how am I going to put these together to form a race?
100%. And I was having a chat to the guys during the race, and obviously I decided, as same as last week as well, to go a little bit of a different strategy and see what happens. And obviously both weeks it's paid off, and it's a gamble. It really is, because I still had an extra set of tyres there for the end in that the last caution. But yeah, I said I just try to play it out as strategically as I possibly can and have fun in the meantime. So yeah, I'm stoked with the win.
In terms of racing, so what's your normal discipline on iRacing? What do you do the most of?
Definitely supercars. So I race supercars in the coming up East Coast V8 series, which is starting tomorrow night. So yeah, that's what I run mainly. And I just jumped in this for a bit of fun. Like I said, because one of my other guys is into it a fair bit. So I was like, oh, come give it a crack. And I didn't realise how fun it actually was. And yeah, I think I'll stick around for a bit longer, I think.
What's the main thing that's really the draw card? Because when you have a look at all these other disciplines of racing, like I think I said during the broadcast tonight, 1-2 corners a lap, you're going side by side. These things tonight, it was side by side the whole track.
You're not wrong there, mate. And you asked me the same question last week, is how I feel racing in a pack, and I said I felt pretty confident. I didn't think I made that many mistakes tonight, and yeah, I said it's definitely a lot. I personally think it's a lot easier. Driving in a pack, and especially if you're up behind someone, you just follow them the whole time, and obviously take those passes when you get the chance to, and there you go.
Mate, it was an absolute pleasure to watch when you were cutting your way through on those fresher tyres. You could see the thought process. Every time you come up to a corner, you go, where's the open lane? Where can I make these tyres work?
100%. As soon as I saw a gap, I just sent it.
There was no waiting around for Hayden Norris, mate. Congratulations. 2 weeks, 2 podiums. This time, it's with the good old-fashioned victory lane. That's what they call it in NASCAR. It's victory lane. You park the car down in there, you get to do a fair few burnouts, get to take the flag with you, the checkered flag. It's all good fun, mate. Time to celebrate from victory lane. Time to thank your sponsors.
I would just like to thank FU Suicide, Capital Custom Works, and Bliss Homes. They build walls with holes in them.
Mate, congratulations. I'm sure we'll see you back again before the season's out. Next week, we've got Pocono. Have you done any laps at the Tricky Triangle yet?
I think I may have quite a while ago, maybe in the old pickup cup, but we'll see what happens. I'll have to try and do more than one night's practice this week.
Hang on, stick to one night because it seems to be paying off for you.
I might have to now.
Hayden, we'll see you again next week, mate. Have a great night.
Awesome. Thanks, gents.
Thanks, boy. He's having an absolute blast. I think that's the culture, the way that he was talking there, Nathan. That's what drew me to Sim Racing World, and Sim Racing World TV. It's the culture. I do something a little bit different. I'm off racing something else. I come here and I sit down and I have a blast. It's not about racing guys hard. It's not about hurt feelings. It's not about any of that. That stuff's all part and parcel of racing. It's here to do something with mates. It's here to have a fair bit of fun.
And that's what we're actually all about here at Sim Racing World, across all our different leagues, which we have 6 running this season. That everybody here has always said that, you know, racing with everyone is so much fun, and everybody really enjoys it and gets along with each other, and it makes the racing better and better every week.
It's learning together. It's learning together that's the key factor.
100%.
If you're a rookie that's out there and you're looking to get involved with a league, this is where I tend to point drivers. And the reasons aren't quite what you think. You go, oh, well, the racing's top tier. I don't think we've got necessarily the best of the best drivers out there. I don't think it's about that at all. I think the racing door-to-door, there's guys for me here at Sim Racing World that are fast. There's guys that are a little bit underneath that. You've got the guys in the mid-pack. You've got the guys in the mid-backpack. You've got the backpack. And there's fights going on up and down the field. The guys at the back of the pack, they're working together. Even though they're fighting with their competition week in, week out, it's about having fun. It's about improving together. They've actually got the driver training here that's a part of Sim Racing World. I believe it's Dylan Thomas that actually helps out with all of that. He's the guy that actually teaches the guys that's towards the tail end of the pack. So if you're looking to get into racing, you're looking to get a little bit of coaching, Sim Racing World can help you out with that. We've got Race Control here, proudly brought to you by 24/7 Race Control. These guys work entirely, that's what they do, race control. Looking at incidents. Did a car change lanes? Did a car come down the track? Did a car come up the track? Who's really at fault here? They can give you some constructive criticism, a little bit of feedback about how the incidents have played out, whether or not who's at fault, what you could have done in the next time. It's about racing with guys that know a little bit more about setups than you. I've learned more about setups racing here with the guys that I'm competing for championships with than I have anywhere else. And that's the culture that really draws me to Sim Racing World, and now to Sim Racing World TV. And I'll tell you what, I'll be hanging around.
And definitely, and on the back of that, mate, and if you want to see all your mistakes, your awesome accidents, your awesome overtakes, you know, the great battles, you know, we have a live broadcast team for every league that we run. So that's right, we have 6 live broadcasts a week. So we are busy behind the scenes constantly. So get on board with us.
Best part here, I get to listen to my commentary faux pas back again.
Oh gosh, I don't want to listen to mine again. I'm sure I'll get better as the season goes on. I am solely a producer, but it has been great fun being on board with Scotty for the NASCAR trucks. I hope you have all enjoyed it out there as much as we are. And right there, we'll wrap up the coverage of the SRW NASCAR Oval Truck Series with, of course, our encyclopedia of all things ovals, Scotty Rankin, and myself, Nathan Shibby Howard, here on Sim Racing World TV. If you've enjoyed our broadcast, please hit the like, follow, and subscribe button on all our social media pages to keep up to date with everything we're doing sim racing. And again, thank you all for joining us tonight, and congratulations to all our drivers, and good night from us all at Sim Racing World.